When will this inflation pressure rates enough to go higher? That's the question of the week. Beata Bukowski coming to you from Fairway Independent Mortgage. The Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, has been testifying to the Congress in last week. He acknowledged that the Fed isn't very comfortable with where the inflation is sitting right now, but he's not ready to take action yet. To translate to common language, what this says, or what his statement may mean to us commoners, is that the Fed's is not ready to move the Fed fund rate any higher, therefore pushing the prime rate any higher in the nearest future. Housing Wire chief economist Logan Makhtashami isn't predicting mortgage interest rates to go up anytime this year, and he is predicting the rates to just start climbing up a bit next year. The Fed's going to do anything and everything possible to hold on tight while watching what happens and how foreign economies are recovering from their COVID economies. The Federal Housing Finance Agency finally, I talked to you about this last week, the new chief, Ms. Thompson, has finally removed the adverse fee that was pretty much slapped without any notice on all refinance mortgages last year by Mark Calabria and Company. So as of August, all refinance loans are being priced substantially better, maybe an eighth, maybe a quarter in translation in the interest rate, and therefore much more comparable to purchase interest rates. Ms. Thompson in her statement said that this is one of the steps in efforts to make housing and mortgaging that much more affordable to larger masses. She says that with interest rates being this low, it will benefit very many families still that haven't taken advantage of refinances, and we are ecstatic about this, by the way. Finally, in economic news, last week was not all roses, unfortunately. Consumer Price Index came out with a number that was the highest ever reading of 0.9%, and the inflation on the consumer level going up from 5% to 5.4%. Actually, not ever. This is the highest in the last 13 years. We should not forget about the lovely 80s, so many years ago. If we take out the volatile food and energy prices, the inflation almost doubled comparing to what economists have expected. On the wholesale level, the producer price index showed 1 full percentage increase and is at 7.3% year over year increase, up from 6.6. When we removed, again, the volatile energy and food prices, it rose more than expected as well. Inflation is critical, obviously, because, as mentioned before, the Fed will have to take a stance on it sooner rather than later if these inflationary pressures continue pushing higher. Initial jobless claims declined by 26,000, and the total benefits, unemployment benefits, were reported at 360,000, which is the post-pandemic lowest seen. There are still 3.2 million people receiving some kind of extended unemployment benefits, and a total of 13.8 million people are still collecting unemployment in whatever shape or form. Retailers had something to celebrate last month, because in June retail sales went up 0.6%, which was better than expected at 0.4% decrease. However, May's figures were revised lower from a loss of 1.3 to a loss of 1.7. Anyway, optimism is growing among small businesses per the National Federation of Independent Business Optimism Index, which rose to 102.5. First time over 100 points since November. Lastly, investors will be watching very closely what happens with the auctions, the 10-year auction, which is the benchmark for where mortgage interest rates and prices on mortgage-backed securities are headed. On that, We'll talk next week. Until then, Beata Bukowski, Fairway Independent Mortgage. Thanks for tuning in.